Welcome to Level 1 Restoration Behind the Scenes. We're out here today with a beautiful 1962 Pontiac Catalina. It's a tri-power, 4-speed convertible. And if that wasn't good enough, it has just 20,000 original miles. And that's a pretty cool car, but to really tell the story of this car, we got to back up a ways. Where I come into the picture with this car was in 1986, 87. I don't exactly know when I moved from Illinois to Colorado. I just was blown away at how many neat old cars were still just driving around and stuff out here. And I'm driving around my new town, Golden, Colorado, and I see a Lucerne Blue 70 to 72, it had to be 71, 72, Pontiac hardtop. Looked like a Le Mans probably, I thought. There were a lot of the bumpers and the trim was removed, so it wasn't immediately obvious what it was, but for some reason I thought it was a Le Mans. And so anyway, I went on by that day and I kept thinking about it. It's like, boy, that car looked amazing, rust-free. I just couldn't believe it. So I had to go back. So I had to find it. I went back, found it, and I'm gonna knock on the door. And so I'm, 18 years old, right? So I'm gonna knock on this door and find out what's going on. Maybe I can buy this thing. And as I'm walking up the driveway, I see the glove box has a Judge emblem on it. And I'm like, oh, I mean, it was like, well, I don't even know if I want to knock on the door now. There's no way I can buy a Judge, right? That's way anything's out of my price range, but a Judge, forget it. So anyway, I knock on the door. Jack comes to the door. We really hit it off. I go back several times. We strike a deal on the Judge, and I have an uncle that can help me buy it at that time. We buy this rust-free 455 HO 71 Judge, automatic, air-conditioned, 8-track, $2,600, completely rust-free. And so that's a whole nother story all on its own. And we know where that car's at still to this day, and which is pretty cool. It's part of a little group of cars. A guy has a red, white, and blue Judge. And it's kind of fun. Anyway, I'm glad the guy has it, and my dad painted that car, and it's pretty neat part of my story too. But this 62 Catalina is in the garage of Jack Stroh of Golden, Colorado. Jack and Wanda, they had 2 kids, and Jack and I became pretty darn good friends. And he had this Catalina and a 73 Firebird Formula that they also got brand new. This was a college graduation gift from Jack's parents to him when he graduated ASU in 1962. And so to him, he was thinking Corvette, maybe a Fuelie or something like that, because he could pretty much get anything he wanted to. But in consideration of maybe having a family and things like that, he got what he thought was a smarter choice, which was this tri-power 4-speed Catalina. It's Ensign blue, and this car is unrestored. It's unpainted. These tires even go all the way back to 1964. The original tires had some blem marks in them. They were starting to blister, so he had this set of tires put on, and they're still on there. And what's really amazing, and people get all bent out of shape about old tires, I think they were better back then than they probably have been in recent decades, because this car drives just fine. Not that I'd want to take it on a trip or anything like that, but it's amazing how it doesn't really seem to have really bad flat spots or anything like that. But anyway, so Jack had it up on blocks and took great care of it. It stayed in Illinois, where he was from, covered up in his folks' garage when he moved out here for his career. And then around 1980, he went back and brought the car to Colorado. At that time, he joined the Pontiac Oakland Club International. He took it to some shows. He won all kinds of awards and trophies with this car. And he and I's friendship grew over those years. And it was a neat thing. He and I had a 65 GTO that we raced at the drag strip. It was his car, but I did all the mechanical work and we raced it. And And that was a lot of fun, and it gave him a lot of pleasure in his retirement. And he started driving this car and his Firebird a little bit. He put a few thousand miles apiece on these cars. This one now reads just over 20,000 miles on it. So, and I don't even know exactly what year it was. I'm going to say it was around 2015. Jack said it was time to sell the two Pontiacs. They had moved. They were sitting in the garage, not really doing much as he aged. And so I found a buyer for the Formula 455 and the 62 Catalina. It was a local guy. They loved him. He bought it, made him part of his collection. A really good guy. And well, as he started to mature in his car hobby, he went more in the direction of like race cars and like Cobras and Shelbys and things like that. So the Pontiac wasn't really a great fit for him, so he ended up selling both of those cars. And the Firebird we sold privately, and this car he ended up taking it to an auction. And he took it to one of the smaller Mecum auctions. It didn't do that great. And then that person sold it through another auction, and then another one. And it was really sad. I saw the car in Indianapolis, and I'm like, wow, the top was down. The top's never been down, not even a dozen times on this car in all those years. And it's just sitting there with no one around it with the top down. And I'm like, wow, all the years I dreamed of this car, I can't believe it's just sitting here, without being loved. And so it sold, and it was sold in the 80s, I think. And a customer of mine then, like a year later, called me up and he said he had an opportunity to buy the 62 Catalina. He starts describing it to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, you should buy that car. It's wonderful. I told him the whole story. He buys it. Everything's great, right? It found a home that will be like a permanent home, and I was so happy. Then he goes on a buying spree, and he buys a bunch of really great Pontiacs, the Royal Pontiac Racing Catalinas from 60 to 63, and really that displaces this car. So he offered it to me, and I said, I've been there and done that on the Catalina. I spent a lot of time with the guy and the car, and so I really don't need to buy it back. Well, a few days pass. He calls me up and makes me an offer I can't refuse. And then I start getting excited because Jack is still around. And I'm going to bring it back into town, and I'm going to show it to Jack and Wanda. I'm so excited. And they're in a memory care facility. So I really didn't know how that would be. But I just knew that he would see this car and he would remember it. I didn't know where he would be on me, but that was my entire motivation to get this car back, other than it's just a great Pontiac that I love. But anyway, I did communicate a little bit with his family, and they were not interested really at all in me having interaction with them. And so that was really kind of unfortunate. So Jack and Wanda are in a memory care facility. I just so desperately wanted to show the car to them, and but I'm going to respect the wishes of their family. And anyway, he's just a few miles from here. It really is unfortunate. I'm going to move on from it. My customer Phil Mitchell is very interested in owning the car, and so I'm just going to pass through the great deal that my other customer gave me and just move that on to Phil, and he can put this as part of his Pontiac collection. And that's really a great thing, and that makes me happy. So now I'll always know where the car's at. It's a car, it doesn't matter that much, but it is really neat, and it does tie back to when I first moved to Colorado and a lot of things that Jack and I did, and that personal connection is obviously the most important aspect of this. And we did have a really good time together. He was a great advocate for me. He went all over the place telling people they should do business with me, and it was wonderful, and he was a great friend. But here is, we can, that's the story of this car, and how it connects to me, and those things are kind of fun. But the car itself, you know, as a 1962 Pontiac, 62 Pontiacs are just wonderful cars. They're beautiful looking. I don't know too many people that would look at one and say, I don't like that car at all, because they're just a great looking car. And what's really exciting about this car, I mean, you're looking at the hood has been resprayed, but the headlights, the grills, the bumpers, the whole rest of the car, everything under the hood is totally original still to this car, unrestored. All of the upholstery, the steering wheel with that clear lucite, amazing that that it was taken care of and survived as nicely as it did. So amazingly cared for and taken care of by Jack and his family, and it will have a lot of years with Phil Mitchell out in Tacoma, Washington, I think is the location of his museum that he is opening up soon. And one other thing we'll show, which is pretty neat, this was in a couple of magazines, and one that I wrote the article on. It wasn't great, but it was kind of fun back in the day, and it was part of my journey. And then we also have an old 1960s foam cooler that has been with this car always, and what is in it is the vacuum tri-power mechanisms, the vacuum switch and the hoses and the vacuum pod. Right away he converted this, like most people did, to mechanical linkage. It worked a lot better, but the vacuum stuff was saved, and oddly enough, when the second guy sold the car, it didn't go with the car, the foam cooler. So it went out, I don't know how far or where it went, 2 or 3 owners, and it found its way all the way back to me in the same shop that it left from, and now the cooler can be reunited with it. And that was accidental at the time, but anyway, it's weird, you know, how some of that is, but a cool piece of my history and my journey. And, you know, I give glory to God for all of that, all of it actually. I wouldn't even be breathing without him. But it's really fun, and this is a neat part of it. So I hope you really enjoy having a look at this car and just looking at the good looks and the beauty of a 62 Pontiac. And now there's a story that goes along with this particular car. And it's part of my 25 years that I've been in business, but it goes back 40 years to when I first met Jack. So that's pretty amazing and a fun piece of my story. So thanks for watching Level 1 Restoration Behind the Scenes. We hope you tune in for more and like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time.